The content presented is for entertainment purposes only. Some content may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, hello, everybody. It's going to be an interesting show today. Oh, dear God in heaven.
Are you guys awake yet?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, America.
Oh, I need to turn off the heater. Hold on. Just go ahead.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Go ahead, Alakai.
Hello. Hi. Hey, howdy, hi, you buckaroos. How you doing, Rian?
Good. Doing good.
What's new in your life, Rian?
I have been meditating and centering myself. And
Is that because you're lopsided?
yeah. Yep.
Just kidding.
For a second there, I
Crooked.
thought you were going to ask me if I was lumpy. And I'm like, that is not an appropriate question to ask on this right now.
Are you lumpy?
I got 2 lumps for sure. Sorry. Anyway, no, life is good. I got a lot to be grateful for. So I'm feeling really good. So why you gotta be moving the camera?
To the audio listeners.
I don't know what we're doing. Are we even doing a podcast?
Well,
I thought so.
What's the definition of podcast?
It's a place where you talk about things.
Okay, then yes, we were doing a podcast.
Okay. I guess it's the technical term. All right. What's new in your life, Mr. Alakai?
Not really a whole lot. Same old school. Oh, yeah, I did have an exam on Friday that I thought I was going to totally bomb. And then I ended up getting 100 on it, so that was kind of
Nice.
cool.
Oh, good job.
Congrats.
It was for communication theory, and it's just a lot of memorizing lists and definitions.
You.
Because we talk about a lot of theories within communication, so it's just a lot of like the title of the theory, and then underneath each theory you have like a different construct, and you have to be able to identify them and like define them, and they're all pretty easy, but
And like
Gotcha.
associate the right definition to the right.
yeah. So it was
That made no sense. Associate the right definition to the right. Yeah.
The right.
No.
Yeah.
Apparently,
the thing.
It was,
I need some communication skills.
it was a written test as a thing, so it was all the questions were essay answers.
Oh.
And I was very surprised that I got 100 on it, because I'm a terrible test taker, but when it comes to essay written questions, that's way worse. So I was like, so when I got my test grade back, I was like, whoa, what? So I actually did pretty okay.
Oh.
I actually took a test last night
Mm-hmm.
that I studied like an hour for. And I got a B. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I could take it again if I wanted, but I really don't want to because I really hate taking tests.
Me too.
I mean, like, test taking is... Ugh.
Yeah, testing in general.
I just feel like
Because nothing makes me feel more stupid than taking a test. Because I didn't study the right question. You know what I mean? And it's like... I get the general concepts. I understand. I have an understanding of it, but I think testing is so hard sometimes. And I don't know. So...
I just feel like there are much more efficient ways to like, not necessarily test, but like acknowledge what you have learned, like applied learning. Because tests pretty much just kind of go with how your memory is, and like, can you memorize this definition? Like, if I were to ask you this question, here are the answers.
Who came up with this theory? Who is the creator of this theory? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care. That does not impact my day-to-day life.
Right?
The only reason I could see, like, those questions, like, who came up with this theory or, like, X, Y, whatever, like, the only reason I could see that being, like, useful is if you need to quote something from them and you know where to find that source. And it's like...
But that's what Google's for.
Exactly.
Like, in today's day and age, there's no need necessarily to memorize anything. Now, there is a need for understanding,
100%.
and I feel like that's sorely lacking in our society on all levels. But I don't know. Like, I'm going back and getting my bachelor's and I get that this is my hang up for sure, 100%. But like,
When are you ever going to use the quadratic formula in your your line of work?
Like, I'd rather spend my time sitting and studying things that actually interest me and that actually are pertinent to my existence, you know? And I'd rather get an education through travel and experience.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not like I can get a student loan. It's not like I can get a loan $30,000 to go travel all these different places and stuff, because that's not. So it's just kind of.
Well, I guess you could, but.
Well, there are like
I don't know.
There is like the whole study abroad program, but like that in and of itself is going to cost you like $5,000.
It's going to cost me a whole heck of a lot more than what I'm paying right now.
Yeah, like, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
It takes like a few months of work saved up with all that money to
and here's the thing, I love education, I value education, I have Audible, and like I would say close to 90% of the books I have on my Audible aren't fiction. They're like, I don't know, they're all different kinds of books, right? Like, but it's interesting. I think I have an issue with like the formal institution of education. It seems like a big old scheme in a lot of ways.
There's a reason why I left the education program at school. So.
Yeah. Oh, because you wanted to be a teacher, right?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to be a teacher for a long time. I actually learned that. Like I made the decision that I wanted to go to college the same year that Jacob and I started working together.
Yeah.
But like originally when I wanted to go into education, it was just like I had all these ideas of like the relationship building aspect with students, and then you get into.
And it's not that at all.
It's not that at all. No, like a lot of it has to do with following curriculum and corporate-based beliefs, and a lot of it is very
institutionalization.
Yeah, and it's very digitalized now. So it's very.
I need it closer. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
It's a very digitalized. Age now in education, and that's not a very good or helpful. I just don't agree with that as far as education goes.
You know what? I'm literally taking a class right now called like consumerism, something family consumerism, or I don't know, something. But it talks about how to be an effective consumer, and like it goes into like goals and motivation and values and everything. And I'm learning this from slides on a computer. Talk about the least inspiring way to consume this information.
How ironic.
I have a class just like that.
How ironic.
And I'm just like, this does not motivate me to set goals at all. All it does is just like, oh, I'm so apparently just a cog in the machine. You know what I mean? And it's just like, this is just priming me to be a cog in the machine. And that's like, I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
totally get it though.
Yeah. Like I'm just like, we're losing our human connection. The thing that makes us unique is human. To inspire people and to inspire others and to be inspired, right? Like to be inspired is so awesome. And there are people who are inspiring, but like, I had this one teacher in high school and I loved taking from her because she inspired me, because she was weird and quirky and fun.
There's something about the whole human to human aspect. There's a whole other thing that you learn in school that isn't even intentionally taught.
Right.
And
just
but-
learning how to connect as a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
How to
And
survive through
Mhm.
connection. And we're not doing that anymore. And it's,
we're losing that because we're making teachers' jobs easier by giving them a computer to have their attention rather than us
Yeah.
taking time to sit one-on-one with a student and try to connect with them and help them learn and understand.
I will be honest, like, I enjoy being inspired and inspiring people, but there is no way I would get into education, especially formal education, as it stands right now. Because how do you inspire a student? Like, even just, like, even business stuff I've been looking into and stuff. It's like, join me on Facebook Live. And I'm like, there's no interaction. There's no interaction. That's so hard. But it's okay. Moving on. That was a fun little rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's like one of my favorite parts of the podcast is when you bring up a certain topic or like random topic and then you just kind of go off the rails with it and just,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's part of the fun of it.
I mean, but I do want to say, I think education is 100% important, and it is necessary for us as a society, as a species, as everything. Like, that's the whole point, is to come and learn and grow. But the minute it starts, it gets corrupted through propaganda and profit, and it loses its effectiveness.
Yeah.
In certain, anyway, I am a non-traditional education supporter,
Love that.
even though I am going through the traditional route.
Well, win some, you lose some.
I will say I am learning still. I'm still learning, right? Like, I'm learning through formal education. I am learning stuff. I'm learning about me and what I truly value, right? Like,
What you believe, yeah.
right? And
So
it's
that
just
really
like,
challenges
why am
your
I doing
beliefs,
this?
like especially
right.
going through school
College is like a
this
whole
time in your
journey.
life.
College is like a whole journey of self-discovery in a sense.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to go through college to discover yourself either.
No,
so
it's just,
I think but I think that's the propaganda we get told to, like, support the system. You know, it's like, go through college and explore. You need a formal education in order to be successful. And I'm like, there's lots of people, like, some of the wealthiest people on the planet don't have formal education.
Did Elon Musk get a formal education?
Ooh,
That's
Google
a good question.
I can Google that.
We'll get into our topic
But
shortly.
like,
here.
Zuckerberg dropped out of college.
Yeah, Lizard Man.
Yeah, he's weird.
I pissed off everybody at work the other day
Uh-oh.
because I put in our
He has a bachelor's degree in physics and economics
Oh.
from 1997.
Okay. That's cool.
He only has a bachelor's degree, though.
Yeah, he only has a bachelor's degree. Apparently.
So
See,
University
Go
of
ahead.
Pennsylvania.
Go ahead, because I was going to go off on a whole new tangent. But
Oh,
go
you're
ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science.
interesting. Okay. So he has an education then.
Yeah, so he has some
Yeah.
traditional education.
But I put
As to where I am a community college dropout.
So I put these two GIFs in our our work team chat, and I was like, I'm just now noticing that these two people look very eerily similar, and it was Mark Zuckerberg and Eddie from Stranger Things.
No. Oh, I have to look that up now.
I made so many people uncomfortable, and I felt bad. I was like, I just needed to be the only one that wasn't uncomfortable. So I needed other people to see this.
Well, there's some very eerie pictures out there. Like there's some belief that we there's like only so many ways that you can look different in this world, and that there are literal carbon copies of you walking around in there.
There are at least 7. I believe I've heard there are at least 7 people on this planet that carry the same like DNA structure as you.
Yeah.
So there's like 7 doppelgangers out there.
Yes, I've met
what
one.
They think, yeah. And then also like there's different pictures of people from like the early 1900s to that look eerily similar to people that are alive today. I have to pull that up, but
I feel like I have some similar looks to my grandfather. So
It's weird because I only know half of my genes, right? And I look nothing like anybody on the half that I know.
interesting.
Yeah. I look completely different than... Okay.
oh my God, there's so many.
Oh,
There's seriously so many. Oh my God.
like doppelgangers?
Yeah.
Like historically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here's some people that look like from the past that look eerily like people from today.
Yeah.
Like what?
You know, it would be
Mind-blowing.
interesting because, like, I wonder if I were to look on the half of my DNA structure that I don't know, like that side,
That's crazy.
if I would find people that I look like.
Do some studying and let us know.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole. I don't know if I really want to go down.
People are saying like this is like proof that like reincarnation is real.
Yeah.
But I mean, although they look similar, they're not exact.
Yeah.
I wonder
Still
if
subtle
they are
differences.
in like the same family though. Like if through their family tree they're tied
Yeah.
somehow. Who's
That's a
that?
good-
Jennifer Lawrence and who?
Jennifer Lawrence and Sabeda Thorpe, television actress.
Wild.
Yeah, like that looks eerily close. I mean, who knows if Jennifer has had, some work done. It seems that most celebrities do nowadays, but
I don't know.
that's
I don't-
wild.
I don't know enough about J. Lotta making us any assumptions or, but
It's just strange.
yeah.
It's just very strange.
Anyway,
Anyway, speaking of educating yourself and corruption,
What a segue.
as we come to the topic, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it makes me a little squeamish.
So okay, I figured it would be interesting to have a conversation about the topic of Satanism and how that whole community works and what it really is, because I feel like it's, regardless, there are some like eerie aspects of some of it, but I feel like it's one of the more misunderstood religions and communities that I felt like it invokes enough conversation that we could probably talk about it for a minute. But when you hear the word Satan, like if you guys just went into this blind, when you hear the word Satanism, like what comes to mind? Like what are some things that come to mind?
I'm not gonna lie, when you said we should have a podcast, I'm like, oh, get the end, Satan. I don't want to bring that into my house. I went back into like, my early
Mormonistic
Christian-
ideologies.
Well, it's not necessarily Mormonistic. It's even Christian. It's just
Oh, well,
it's
yeah,
a
that's
very
good point.
it's
Yeah.
more like the
It's-
conservative, like the very conservative. Well,
yeah, I don't know. It's because here's the other thing. It's like, yes, just because somebody worships Satan doesn't mean they're all bad, right? But like Satan isn't all bad either, because he is our technically, like, according to Christian beliefs, he is our brother as well, right? Like he is a son of God, just as we are sons and daughters of God.
Yeah, I think in the
So-
Bible it describes him as a fallen angel. One of the greats, one of the most beautiful, one of the most decorated
Right.
of
But
God's children.
well, and that's the thing. So he's not all bad and everything, but like the whole concept of Satan has been demonized, right? So
That was very punny.
Thanks, babe. But it's interesting, but I think, you look at, I've been reading and studying a lot this last week, and there's opposition, right? So it's like, how can you know the light if you don't know the dark?
Mm-hmm.
How can you know good if you don't know the bad? Or how can you know joy if you don't know suffering? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And like, even it says, like, when Christ was in the Garden of Eden, he descended below all things to ascend above all things. So even he had some concept of evil, and right, like, we're taught that
Well, yeah, I mean, even
Christ knows all of our thoughts and understands, like, even the most heinous, murderous, evil piece of who does unspeakable things to like children or something, like, he supposedly knows that as well, right? So it's not like it's all bad. Sorry, I went all philosophical and all this.
No, that's good.
Philosophy is a big aspect of what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can understand how the Church of Satan it draws people who don't fit into the standard, or here's what the right path, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, for example, Jacob and I are married, but we don't have kids.
Right.
But that's a big deal in the church we grew up in, right? Like, you were supposed to...
That's like your purpose.
That's the whole purpose of being here. Is
everybody had that roadmap.
Yeah.
Right.
That was part of it.
Here's the roadmap. And it's like, well, my body didn't comply with that. So does that mean I'm unloved by God? Because that's kind of the unintended message that I received, right? It's not like somebody come out and said, like, well, because you didn't have children, that means God doesn't love you. But when you get the message of God loves you and he'll bless you with children because of that love, then, well, if I don't have children, that must mean, you know what I mean? So it's like that unintended situation, or the unintended consequence of that teaching is this. So it's like, I can see why people would be like, well, I don't feel that way, or I don't have that experience, even though I'm told that's what I'm supposed to do and that's what I'm supposed to have. So that must mean I don't belong here. And so therefore that's why this makes sense. Going to the other side, the Church of Satan or whatever, makes sense. See, so I get it. I get that for sure. But that doesn't mean I still don't have some, like...
some reservations?
I'm like, oh, yeah, well...
Her personal biases against it.
The devil will give you 9 truths and 1 lie to get you. That's how he gets you. That's how he does it. Yeah. At least that's what I was taught. So, but anyway. So that's my perspective, and that's all I got to say about that.
Okay. Well, for me, growing up in the church, I also served a mission, like... was very devout for quite a number of years, and only in the last 4 or 5 years has that kind of been different. But I still have those kind of ideologies and biases kind of still like within me. And so when you said, hey, why don't we talk about Satanism and the Church of Satan, I was like, I don't interesting. Know. It's kind of one of those things where just like, well, I've been taught all my life to not look at things that would go against my beliefs,
avoid the very thought,
and to, avoid these kinds of things, because then it could lead me on the wrong path, away from God, away from Jesus and his teachings and stuff like that.
Well, and maybe it did, Jacob. Maybe it did.
Well, maybe
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, when I first hear that, like, Satanism or the Church of Satan, I go, wow, there's some people who believe not only in the same opposing forces, but to follow the beliefs and teachings of the opposing force of good and evil. That's like my first thoughts on it when I first heard that, hey, you wanted to talk about these things. So
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like it's a little weird for me. I'm a little weirded out by it, but I'm open to discuss it. Especially what I saw just recently, the stuff that I Googled, and that 30 minutes of that Hail Satan documentary.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's interesting. I'm gonna finish it after this, but yeah, I'll be
say
honest. I'd be disingenuous if I didn't say I was kind of creeped out about it a little bit.
I'm curious because like when we started the documentary, we literally started it right before you came, so we could kind of get a thing. And I'm like, I wonder how many times the words "Hell Satan" are said in the first 30 minutes of this
lot.
movie, right? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was a lot.
I was like, man, they say it a lot, but I mean, whatever.
But
And
so
it's
do we.
just like,
May God bless you, or bless you, or
but we're not
God
like
be with
"Hail
you" to
God,
me.
"Hail God."
Amen. Praise Jesus.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
there's some
Yeah.
individuals
Yeah,
that
that's
can
true.
still use those.
That's true. We
God
do.
bless.
God
Yeah,
bless.
God bless.
So my aunt, okay, just cute little thing, you guys. My aunt, I love her so much. She is amazing, but she on Monday, it was Halloween. Hold on, I gotta tell you what she sent me. Okay, it's really weird. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking that, yeah, I have. I'll be honest. I do have. I still to this day still kind of have those beliefs and tendencies still like kind of bubbling up, and like those feelings of, stay away from this stuff as much as possible. Those feelings like are still there, which is really interesting. Like it's really like when I feel like I've gotten away from a lot of those biases and a lot of those teachings that were instilled into me, to the point where I wouldn't look at anything. Like I still feel like those are like still there. And so when it comes to talking about like Satan and his mission, or like, these kind of
Or having
belief
discourse about it.
structures, having discourse about it, it's like almost like a very taboo
It's like,
thing.
oh, I can't even entertain it.
Yeah, like it's like, you can't even
Because then I'm
entertain that
I'm inviting evil in, because that's like what we were taught. Okay, so this is what's funny. My Aunt Cheryl
go ahead.
because like Halloween, right? It's considered a pagan holiday and all this stuff. So my aunt sends me this cute little text. She says, by the way, may the only ghost that comes your way today be the Holy Ghost to guide your way.
Oh my goodness.
I was
What?
like, I love you, Cheryl, so much.
Oh my. What?
She's so adorable.
She's so cute.
I
was
can't-
just like, that is so funny.
Wow.
I can't believe.
May the only ghost.
Oh my goodness. I can't.
That's crazy.
I love, but she, like, if you were to see her, she is just like, every time, like,
She is the
everybody knows her.
embodiment of like,
She is just
pure.
She's just so pure.
yeah.
Like my mom's like, sometimes I have a hard time staying at Cheryl's because I feel like I can't swear. But like,
goodness.
but no, my aunt, she is so adorable. But like, this is how she ends conversations with like literally everybody. The Lord loves you and the church is true. Have a good day. You know what I mean? Like, that's how she ends it. And like, we got together as a family this summer, and like in August. It was really nice. I needed that. But it was so funny because like everybody knew Aunt Cheryl's catchphrase, "The Lord loves you and the church is true." So anyway.
Yeah, we would say as missionaries, the church is true and the book is blue.
Oh goodness. Oh jeez.
Because when you're passing out books of Mormon,
Yeah, they're navy
blue.
blue.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The dark blue. Yeah.
Okay, now we need to let Alakai talk because
Yeah.
this is his topic and I'm really curious what he has to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's so this is why I felt like it would be interesting to have this conversation is I was listening to iHeartRadio's interview on, like, they have this whole segment called How Stuff Works, or no, Things That You Should Know.
Oh, okay.
And one of the episodes was called How Satanism Worked.
Oh.
And I listened to it and realized that Satanism is actually one of the more misunderstood communities and religions that's out there. because there is a very fine line between devil worshipping and Satanism. So now keep in mind that like Satanism has like a bunch of different tiers and like different groups. Like there's the Church of Satan, there's the Satanic Temple, there's like the type of Satanism where like they believe in Satan and worship him and his beliefs, but it's not like.
And then like the other side is basically the belief that, you know, that it's more of like a hedonistic belief of believing like more of a having more secular beliefs rather than in the supernatural or spiritual.
Yeah, so it's not like,
so there's kind of like two kind of factions within Satanism from what I understand.
Yeah, so it's more of an atheistic kind of belief. It's not like they're gathering in dark alleys and drinking each other's blood or gathering for like a sex cult type of thing. Although the head of
on that documentary, the guy said that like when he joins the Church of Satan, he masturbated like 3 more times. Can I say that? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So the head of the Satanic Temple has like. And he's just like, we're not a sex cult, but I wish we were.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. Sure.
It's kind of funny, but the ideals of Satanism are more about like individualism, self-acceptance, and more of like free thinking.
Yeah.
It's not like worshiping Satan like you worship
like
the
a
devil.
counterculture kind of group that kind of branched off in the 60s.
Yeah, so it's more like there are some that will worship Satan, but like ultimately it's about supporting the idea of, and like the symbolism behind Satan and like the critical and free thinking. So one of the interesting things that I found is that like when someone asks like you're called Satanism but you don't believe in God or Satan, at that point, once that question is asked, they have already accomplish their goal of invoking and advocating for critical thinking, which I found really interesting.
So the name of like the Church of Satan or the Satanic Bible from Anton LaVey. So that was more or less like I was saying before, a counterculture idea of invoking, you know, not only invoking what is this, but also invoking you know, regular Christian people to go, oh, what is that? That's gross. That's disgusting. You shouldn't do that. So it's more like just like an FU to piss other people off.
Yeah, it's like it's bringing out your inner rebel, essentially. So like with Christianity, it's like the tendency to suppress temptation. You know, like if you're horny, well, like that sucks. You got to wait till marriage, or like if you're financially struggling, well, it doesn't matter. You still got to pay 10% for the church. And
all the while, these preachers of like these mega churches are like flying. Anyway. But okay, I will just say there are plenty who are of Christian belief that have done horrific things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the name of God. Well, how many wars were wrought due to the Crusades?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, crazy atrocities in the name of God.
So yeah, and they also have like the whole like, well, if you have this is the thing that never worked for me when it came to Christianity, is when you have a question and the response is God works in mysterious ways. That never like worked or stuck with me, because it's just like, well, I feel like you're copping out and just formally saying that you don't know. And the thing is with,
or it's unknown.
Yeah, and the thing is with Satanism is more like, if you're horny, well, that's a release that you gotta get out. I mean, like do what you will, or if you're financially struggling, well, I mean, that sucks. Save your money, do what you can. And if you have a question that we don't understand, well, we have no problem saying that we don't know, but let us know if you find anything. And going back to the whole like people in Christianity starting all these wars and like all this bloodshed that happened with Christianity, Satanism is more like, if you can do so much bad in the name of God, like, then we will do so much good in the name of Satan to kind of like counteract that, you know? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and because I mean, if you think about it, like the Catholic Church and all the child molestation and how they hid it, and the evil and everything that kind of permeated certain I mean, and it's happened in all organized religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just the Catholic Church. I mean, there's...
And it happens a lot in spiritualism, which kind of sucks, or like self-help. It seems like that cultiness kind of turns from doing something that's good for the world and good for the individuals that go through their courses into, some kind of like sex, like like sex cult for some strange reason. I don't really know that, but I think what's really interesting, if I could just jump in here for just a minute, was that the Mormonism look at who Satan is or was, because with the belief from Mormons that we lived before we were born, we lived with God as spirit children, and there was like kind of a upheaval and a disagreement as far as like what the next plans and God's big plan is going to be. And basically there was a plan given by who we knew as Jesus Christ, and that who we know of, Satan, the son of morning. And basically it was, we're going to go with Jesus's plan. And now that, Satan, that we know as Satan, Lucifer has disagreed with God's plan, and we don't agree with him. So he will be cast out of heaven along with those who are his followers. Which I think is a really interesting story, because I feel like Lucifer is very misunderstood in a lot of ways. But with that being said, that Jesus Christ and Lucifer, the son of morning, are both brothers, and with Mormon belief that makes them all of our brothers as well, which is very interesting. And so so Satan and the hosts of heavens are now in spirit form, allegedly on this sphere, to try to lure us away and to think and to be more hedonistic and to be more negative, to ourselves and to others. And that's like their job now. And I just think that's like I think that's such a terrible thing. Well,
I think it's a very rudimentary way to look at at the universe and God and all of its capacity.
But believing that that's like actually what happened, it's just like, really? You couldn't just go, well, we're not going to go with your plan. We're going to go with his plan. And we're all going to be okay. But apparently the war in heaven was just basically a big misunderstanding and disagreement. And I always thought that was a very interesting look on, how the birth of good and evil was basically created.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think what's really interesting, especially like, looking at the different things that people believe in a certain organization, it's not really about worshiping the negative force of the deities, so to speak. Worshiping, Satan or Jesus kind of a thing. It's more like trying to figure out where your place is in this world outside of those beliefs. And it's kind of like there is no religion, there is no God, there is no devil. There's just us trying to figure out like who we are and what we're doing in this life. It's more, atheistic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, love that. But kind of like going into historic, because it brings up a point that I did want to make earlier too, is like historically, so you have all these names for Satan, like Beelzebub, right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these names that are made for him are actually like names of other competing religions gods, and they're like in the Dark Ages, they were corrupted by Christianity and saying that they were either false gods or the devil himself. So it was kind of like a smear tactic in order for Christianity to thrive, right?
So anybody that differs from
it was propaganda.
Yeah,
it was literally propaganda.
So they made other religions gods their devil, as a way to make the other religions and the competition look bad, because they wanted Christianity to thrive. Right. And it worked for thousands of years. I mean, like, here we are now, and like you say the word Satanism and it turns off so many people.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just thought that was a really
understandably. I mean, that's been instilled for generations.
Yeah.
But that kind of coincides with the things that were going on in the healing world. in the secular world outside of Christianity, where people
Mhm.
are using, herbs and spices and, different potions and tonics and stuff to heal the sick. And people were looking at as devil worship and, witchcraft, these alignings with, Satan and their followers and demon worship. And what's really interesting about that, there's some evidence to believe that during the times of the Salem witch trials, that people were accidentally poisoning themselves with ergot, because of the way that they stored stuff. The way that they stored stuff, once the grains would freeze and thaw, it would create a lot of fungi, and of course it would taint the bread, and basically it made people crazy. And so they would see things like they would have more visitations of angels and glorified beings, and at the same time they were also visited and chased by demons and being possessed by demonic adversaries. And so it's really interesting to see how these things kind of get crazy when you go back through history.
Yeah. I don't have very more thoughts. I just have one more thing that I wanted to add. I don't want to stay on this topic for too long.
Okay.
But I guess kind of mostly what I found that kind of drew me towards wanting to talk about the topic is the idea that like one of their philosophies is if you need religion to make you a better person, then you're a terrible person. Or and so it's kind of like a way to say
it's hard because religion provides a way for us to unify and to come together, right? And to have a set of values, to have some semblance of civilization, right? So it's not all bad. It's what provides a common core value for a lot of societies. And is necessary, right? There is necessity in it. There is, especially that's why America is so unique, is we have people from all these different cultures and stuff coming in. But the thought of we are free, that's what or has held us together. Right now it seems so weird and convoluted. The United States is going through a very transitional period, I would say. But religion isn't bad, so having those values or those beliefs aren't bad and can create a lot of good. But with anything, extremes can be a huge hindrance, right? So the church can be there's so many churches that have had people in them that do evil things, you know what I mean, in the name of the beliefs, and that's hard. But I can see why people I understand why people are drawn to the Church of Satan.
Well, what about the individuals that really do truly believe in the opposing force of Christian ideology? Those that believe that they are practicing some kind of real ritualistic, sacraments and sacrifices and stuff to who we know as Satan right now,
or the cabal,
So when it came to
the ritualistic blood drinking and stuff like that, in elite Hollywood, allegedly, the practice of molestation of young children, allegedly in that kind of stuff, in the name of Satan and Satanism, to give them their power and their ability to do well. What do we think about that kind of stuff?
Not about it. If honestly, that's the part of it that I didn't study, because that's not something that I want to really indulge in, or if I see anything like that, immediately I'm okay, no. Yeah. I'm not about, I don't get down with sacrificing people or drinking each other's blood, or the stuff that takes it way too far. No. yeah, I'm totally fine with the whole idea of like there just being like this idea of the natural man is just like you being a human being, and you should not like you being yourself shouldn't be associated with being sinful, you know?
Okay.
Like
But
the whole
the whole thing is like, to them, molesting children and drinking blood is not sinful, right?
Yeah, like isn't there a tribe out in Africa somewhere where they believe in doing that to young boys to, like, I don't remember the tribe's name. Like this is just something I heard on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
I don't
You
know
can't
about
do
that.
Take it, you know, with a grain of salt. But apparently there's a tribe where they have ritualistic like molestation of young boys. From our point of view, from their point of view, it's for their young boys to become men. And so basically, this allegedly, from what I understand, is they take these boys as young as 6 or 8, and they go off with the men, and they're separated from the women, and they ritualistically penetrate anally and fellatio, and have these boys drink their older men's semen to ensure that they grow big and strong to be warriors.
Like virility and
I
all
don't-
that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
that's pretty gross. But like,
Yeah, but see, that's gross to us because we've been brought up in a different culture, right? But to them,
but does that?
it's the
Because of the culture, though, does it just because it's culturally accepted, does it still make it right? That's the big question.
I'm not saying I think it's right at all, but like it's all a matter of perspective. I think it's
I think it's gross and disgusting, but yeah, but some people believe that that's something that because it's been handed down from generation and that's how their culture is. That kind of stuff is still practiced, which is
well, just like
just
it's
like slavery
practiced in
is still practiced today.
female
but
but female genital
What?
mutilation is cultural in a lot of countries. You know. So anyway, I mean, there's we could go down so many rabbit holes with this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but I think that with the two different sides of these organizations, there is the one that does tend to believe and worship the opposing force in Christian belief, and then the other side is more of a hedonistic, secular kind of belief of self and more of an atheistic point of view, which is interesting. I honestly didn't know that. I just assumed the belief of Satanism and the Church of Satan was just following literally devils and demons. So
Well,
that's new information to me. I did not realize that was the way they practiced.
yeah. Well, there are like 7 tenets from the Satanic Temple that I thought were pretty interesting, and if it's cool with you guys, I just want to go down them and just get your thoughts on them and
Okay.
see. Is that cool?
oh yeah,
So
Alright.
tenets like kind of like their
Like their fundamentals.
like basically our Ten
Yeah,
Ten
it's-
Commandments. It's
mhm.
their guideline.
It's
Okay.
their moral code.
articles of faith.
Yeah, I guess so.
Their creed.
Yeah. Okay, so tenet number 1. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. Number 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. Okay. Number 3. One's body is inviolable. I can't read today. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone.
Invaluable. Is that what you mean?
Inviolable. So like, not like you should not violate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was value or okay.
Yeah. INVIOLABLE.
Okay.
Okay. Number 4. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. Now, this one was kind of weird to me because when it says the freedom to offend, I was like, well, what? So doing some more research into that one, that more talks about like basically the freedom to like say
to
or
say
do
what
you want. But and if someone else is going to be offended, then that's going to be
Their
problem.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like if I were to get offended by someone else, like that would be my problem, not theirs.
Yeah. An individual's offense is their own problem, just like their. Yeah.
Okay. Number 5. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs.
Wow. I think we we believe a lot of these things. This is interesting.
Number 6. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. Number 7. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. And that's all 7 tenets.
Now, are these all according to the Satanic Bible from Levi, or like what are these all based on?
So these are from the Satanic Temple. They don't come from.
So it's a different organization.
Where did Starbuck go?
He's
okay.
by my feet. So, because I know the Church of Satan has like the 11 Satanic rules of the earth, which kind of go, like they do kind of fit hand in hand with the 7 tenets. Sorry, but like. It's still the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan. They're both still within Satanism.
So is the Satanic Temple more of like an activist like group,
kind of,
than
yeah,
a religion, or
kind of, yeah. It still follows the religion of Satanism, but like, it doesn't really get down with the sketchy stuff of the Church of Satan.
Gotcha.
So
it kind of sounds that like they're like, don't just buy into authority just for the sake of buying into authority, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as a person who believes that like just because you hold a certain like it's hard for me to give respect to somebody who doesn't have good character regardless of the title they hold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like that resonates with me. I will respect and honor people until they give me a reason not to. And then once they do, it's really hard to get it back. And just because you hold like a certain office or because, So I get that. Or because you hold a certain position within a organization doesn't mean you deserve my adoration, my respect, or my attention.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
But that's also why I struggle to fit into a religion. Okay.
So,
sorry.
So the on the Church of Satan's website, they have like the 11 Satanic rules of the earth. I don't know if you got a chance to go through those or read those at all, Jacob.
No, I haven't.
So they also kind of fit hand in hand with the 7 tenets with the Satanic Temple. Like the first one is do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked.
Oh, I struggle with that one.
2 is like do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. Number 3 is when in another's lair, show him respect or else do not go there. I can get down with that. Number 4 is like if you...
I think it's funny they call it a lair.
Yeah. If a guest in your lair annoys you, treat him cruelty and without mercy.
Okay, see, now that, I don't know.
That's a little bit... I don't know about that one. But there are some on here that make sense. Like number 9 is do not harm little children. Yeah, no duh.
I think... honestly, I think if they had a different name and a different kind of, I guess, what do you call them? What am I thinking of? If they had a different name and better optics, like this would look like very normal to the outside eye.
Yeah. So I think
the whole name of the Church of Satan or Satanic Temple or Satanism or whatever, it's more or less like just like in like, you know, heavy metal or rock music. It's the shock and awe kind of, hey, look at us kind of a thing.
So I kind of feel like, yes, I agree. If there was a different name, then it would look completely normal to everybody else. I also think that like if you were to take out the name, that would kind of defeat that purpose of like earlier when when someone asks the question like you're called Satanism, but you don't necessarily worship Satan, then that takes away the question of like the critical thinking and free thinking aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
but I also
see that.
feel that there's a way there's a way to still be able to achieve that without
having the name. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the whole name is to invoke an emotion and a and a certain thought and belief around themselves.
Yeah.
But then again, same with our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They evoke the name of Jesus Christ. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the Mormons still espouse to the belief that they are following the teachings of Christ, where the Church of Satan isn't necessarily following the teachings of, Satan.
Yeah.
So that's why to me, like, objectively looking at the name doesn't make sense to me, especially when we read into more of their beliefs and what their belief system is.
That's all I had on Satanism.
Very interesting.
Okay, so the other
I
topic.
learned something new today. I love that. That's cool.
It was a very interesting conversation. Thank you, Alec.
Yeah.
But now we understand it a little bit more than we did earlier, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm going to finish that documentary afterwards because
I'm going to watch that documentary because I don't believe I've seen that one. So I'll probably learn some things that I didn't know before.
We had to rent it on Prime. Just
yeah,
FYI.
there's no free streaming that, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it's like $4 on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool. So other topic that I wanted to touch on, because I actually gave a speech on it this week.
Oh, cool.
Is astral projection.
What is astral projection, Alec?
So astral projection is, you guys have seen Doctor Strange. So if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, it's kind of like what he does when he meditates and he's able to move his spirit or consciousness out of his body. It's basically that. It's the ability to move your consciousness outside of your body and move freely without physical bounds. Question for you guys. Is this something that either of you have experienced or attempted to experience?
You know, it's interesting. I've actually done a lot of meditating.
Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah, because so I haven't necessarily done anything to, I guess, astral project. I'm trying to think, like, in the meditation I've done, it guides you to expand your consciousness outside of your body. And that's really interesting because, like, it can trigger visions and all that sort of stuff. And I've also been reading a book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money that talks about the quantum universe and quantum particles and how we're all made up of particles like atoms and how it goes down to the quantum field and everything. And so how you're able to create through vision and just a lot of it can get really complex. Like the book I'm reading, like I have to take it just chunks at a time because it's like heavy to digest. But like it talks about Schrodinger's cat. Anybody who's like Big Bang Theory fans or anything. Have you ever watched The Big Bang Theory?
Nope.
Because they talk about that.
It's probably the last best comedic sitcom that I think has done really well.
I'll check it out.
Anyway, but so like,
well, explain Schrodinger's cat. I mean,
I don't know if I could. No, I don't want to because I don't want to sound stupid because I'm still trying to figure it out. But like, I get it based off of like what I've experienced with meditation and like an experience I had this week when I was meditating. Like it says, put your hand over your heart, right? So you put your hand over your heart and then you go through and they play like in this meditation, they play like this certain gigahertz of like a frequency, a specific frequency, and they guide you through this like meditative process. Joe Dispenza does this actually quite a bit. And he's a scientist. And so he like puts tools and stuff like brain waves and stuff where they actually take real time like EKGs and stuff of people's brains while they're meditating. And they're like, look, you're going to see it. She's going to pop right there. And like, and they can actually observe the expansion of their consciousness.
That's crazy.
It is so cool. Like he does, this guy's cool. Like he does like these week-long intensive meditative
What's
retreats.
his name?
Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
No, it's like I've been like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden. They kind of do this tour and stuff, but they talk a lot about this sort of stuff. It's really awesome. Anyway, so it was one of his meditations that I was doing, and I noticed that during my meditation, my hand, like I could, like, as they were saying, expand your consciousness, I could feel my hand rising off my chest, but I actually felt like it felt like I was touching something, but it wasn't. It was like right there. And it was like, oh, so I was like feeling my energetic field. It's really trippy. It's really cool. I'm like falling more and more in love with meditation and like all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much the closest
that you've been able to.
Yeah. Or at least most recently that I've been able to remember. I mean, there's dreams and all this weird stuff that could probably, I don't know. But like they say, when you dream, you're an astral projection. And that you're actually experiencing a multiverse. Yourself in a multiverse.
So yeah, that is like one of the bigger theories too, is like dreaming, like lucid dreaming specifically is the same as astral projection. I disagree with that only because I have had lucid dreams before, and most of like the stories and like the common thing that's reported with people that will astrally project is they're able to see their silver cord. Now,
that's interesting.
Now your silver cord.
What's that?
So your silver cord is
it's like your tether that ties you to your physical.
Yeah, exactly. It's infinite, so it can stretch infinitely, and it can't be severed, or can it? I have a story that acknowledges that, but it's supposed to work the same way that like an astronaut's lifeline tethers them to their spaceship. Only it's infinite and you can go wherever, right?
Interesting.
Now, when I've had my lucid dreams, I don't recall seeing it. So I don't know that I agree that astral projecting and lucid dreaming are the same, but that'd be cool if they were.
Well, interesting. I mean, if you espouse to the belief that you do have a spirit within your physical vessel, and that those can not only come together and be one thing, but they can also be separated and become two things. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is or what that looks like, or like, I just can't wrap my head around it, to be honest. Like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's difficult to say you can believe something if you haven't experienced it, or, or knew somebody who experienced it who can, corroborate the information. But yeah, for me, I mean, I've meditated to the point where I thought I was somewhere else, but
wow.
I don't know, Jacob. I feel like you have really lucid dreams. You just don't remember them because you talk a lot in your sleep.
Yeah, I do
like,
do that.
He will talk and sing and laugh and like.
Yeah, apparently I have like full on conversations with people like in my sleep. But you know what?
So
Same.
much.
That like 95% of my dreams I don't remember or recall anything. Like I wake up and sometimes I feel, really rested, and oftentimes I don't feel rested at all because I'm having whatever is going on while I sleep.
Yeah.
Do you have fights in your dream?
Yeah.
There have been. The first month we were married, Jacob had a dream about his previous stepfather, and he was fighting him and ended up punching me by mistake.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Yeah.
That's
so.
Yeah, so my body does act out the things sometimes that are going on while I'm asleep. And it can be dangerous for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I know that's not the only time Rianne has had my fists of fury while I was while I was in REM sleep. But yeah, like I do like believe that, you know, there is something after this life, you know, whether we go into some kind of, you know, spiritual form, whether it's, you know, a gas or a collection of particles, or, you know, whether it's even tangible or not. Like, I really don't know. But I find the idea interesting, and Rianne and I have listened to books on this whole near-death experience, astral projection kind of thing. Was it called Visions of Glory? That we read every once in a while, because it kind of freaks us out, because it's like this person has had multiple times where he has literally passed away, and he's had like days or even months like to explore the world in this spiritualized form. And apparently this person could move at the speed of thought, which is something that's really mind-blowing and mind-bending, because the speed of thought is much faster, you know, than the speed of sound. It's much faster than the speed of light. Like, it would be like, you know, trying to understand DSL versus fiber optics, like that kind of speed. In comparison, if we could talk about it in this mortal realm. And one of the things he talks about is that he could think of like, hey, I want to be home. And then boom, he's in this kind of like palace kind of place where he believes is his home. That's not on this world or in this sphere or
he was in
dimension.
the temple.
But he was in this sort of, it was in his spiritual home, like where he lived before he lived a mortal life, kind of a deal.
Oh yeah.
And in there was like kind of like a projector screen sort of. And he could touch like these different things that were, and like hold different things that were like tools for learning and understanding, but in the spiritual world. And like he could recall things, and it was like he would just think, and then boom, it was up on this projection, like on the wall, and he can like recount like memories, like literal from, you know, like that were recorded from
the beginning of
time.
Like he could go anywhere. It's a
like,
really cool story.
It's a wild story.
And he's LDS, so he is
and that's kind of a no-no in the LDS realm when you start talking about things that are spiritual outside of the beliefs of the church. That's a big no-no.
Yeah, so like it's
so any kind of like spiritual healing, you know, like no touch, or like with stones, or, you know, anything outside of prayer, or like physical like anointings and blessings from the church, like they disregard any of those kinds of lines of thought.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Like there are some people in the church that were like, that is blasphemy.
This is devil worship. This is, you know, teachings
even
of
though
Satan.
he was really good friends with a general authority.
Yeah,
or something.
several general authorities. Yeah.
He talks about one of the general authorities that passed away while he was like in the story and everything, and how that was in the
and he visited him like after he passed away.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
Like on his way to return to live with God, apparently. Yeah. Like very
It's a really
story.
cool book.
It's a really cool book. It makes you think of like, okay, well, what does the afterlife look like?
Yeah. What's that book called?
Visions of Glory.
Visions of Glory.
Visions of Glory. Okay.
By John Pontius.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Interesting.
It's on Audible too.
That's the only book I have ever read or recalled of stories of like what we could consider astral projection.
Yeah.
Or living spiritually outside of your physical body for a time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but tell us what your experience is.
So I don't really have any personal, like I said, I've had lucid dreams. But I don't believe that I've astral projected. My sister was telling me a story the other day. She believes that she has astral projected.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So her story was that, we talked about this while we were driving through Zion. She was saying that like the way that she experienced it, it was kind of like this kind of like having a dream, but it just felt different in a sense that she wasn't like verbally able to explain. But she, because we had the whole discussion that like there are some scary places that you can go when astral traveling, right?
Yeah.
It's not all just happy hippie stuff.
Right.
So where she went, she believes that she traveled somewhere in the Middle East, and she was in like this bunker, and like brick walls everywhere, no windows or anything. But she was following a man into a room, and she like all she remembered was him saying, "This is where we torture them," and immediately.
Shit.
Oh, wow.
And then at that point, she immediately like was like, "Nope, I'm not having this," and thought of her own, thought of like returning to her body, and then boom, she was up. And that was her
That's
experience.
interesting. Like my experience when I did that meditation I was telling you about. This is when I was like really, really young, and I was really missing like my father. This is when I was younger, and I was missing going to our the family cabins that they share with a bunch of families out in Montana. And I literally remember sitting, kind of Indian style, and just like kind of like my hands in my lap. Sorry, I just knocked the camera. And I just remember going there and like swimming in the lake and like fishing and like running up and down the sand of the beach, going hiking, talking to my grandmother, my cousins. Like I remember this, like it felt like I was there for hours. Like I was like almost spending a whole day there. And then all of a sudden I woke up and it was like 30 minutes later.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the F was that? But that's the only experience I can relate to at all.
Yeah. I do have. Can I tell you guys the story that I told in my speech?
Yeah.
We got about 20 more minutes, so we're good.
Okay. Is that going to be enough time, Rian?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
All right,
watching.
so-
I actually just got a text and it's rescheduled, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Oh
Okay.
okay.
So the story is about a man by the name of Robert Antoschik. So Robert, good luck spelling his name. let me spell his name for you.
ATCHICK.
No, that's not it.
OSTOJIC.
It is not spelled how you think it is. Here, let me pull up his name.
Robert Stojic, a shareholder with the firm of the chair of firm's large loss
Here,
surgical department.
Look up the Hades environment. The Hades environment is where I got the story from.
Medium.com.
No, it should just be the HadesEnvironment.com. Here, let me spell his name for you.
Okay.
Okay, so Robert, ANTOSZCZYK.
Robert R. Stojic. Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, that should be him. So Robert was he was in his 20s. He was a college student at the University of Michigan, and he was very much like he was just a normal guy. He was a weightlifter, a martial artist. He taught yoga for a few years. He was a vegetarian and didn't drink or do any drugs or anything like that. Robert was very invested in the spiritual side of yoga and meditation. And so much so that he traveled to India and studied with the master yogis there. And keep in mind that his masters in India that he studied with are the same spiritual leaders that were studied by the KGB. Now, because astral projection is such a thing that doctors and scientists don't really know how to explain it, and they don't know what causes it, but there's so much evidence for it that that agencies like the KGB and the CIA have funded research studies for.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
right.
I actually know a guy who was in the CIA program.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember you
So-
telling us this.
Yeah. Oh, holy yeah. Okay, so yes, I do remember.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So his masters were the same spiritual leaders that were studied by the KGB. Now, when Robert came home, he was so like different and spiritually enlightened at this point. Eventually, he started having dreams about a lady, and she was to him like his dream girl, maybe. But to him, it was like this woman was trying to communicate with him from across the cosmos, and he decided that he wanted to find this girl. And he decided that he wanted to try and find this girl, and thought that astral travel was the way to do it, right? So one day he tells his roommate's name is Neil. He tells Neil, I'm going to be trying to astral project, so I need unbroken concentration and silence. Under no circumstances are you allowed to come into my room. And Neil, his roommate, is like, whatever, man, do your thing. I don't care. Like, just kind of disregarding it and just being whatever with it. And Robert disappears into his room, and eventually Neil starts to get worried, and this worry turns into panic as Robert had been in his room for 3 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So at this point, Neil was like, all right, I'm not waiting anymore. So he goes into his room, and there's Robert dead on the floor, but still in a meditative pose.
What?
Yeah. And Robert was smiling. He had a serene expression on his face. So when authorities came, they were absolutely baffled. They could not find like any cause of death or anything. And even the medical examiner that did the autopsy on him came out with a statement that said like there was no good anatomic cause of death, and we simply just couldn't find a reason as to why he died. Because in fact, Robert was at peak health. His circulatory and respiratory systems were in perfect condition.
What?
He stayed away from he treated his body like a temple. But here he was dead and had no like signs of disease, no injuries, nothing. So one of the experts on the case was like desperate and needed an answer to make sense on paper. So this expert actually consulted with Indian scientists, and they told him like this form of meditation is known to be very dangerous, especially if you don't know or understand exactly what it is that you're doing. Now, granted, Robert had like a lot of experience with the master yogis that he studied with, but and he was a great candidate to accomplish this, but still that doesn't change the fact that it's still dangerous.
Wow.
So the theory that this expert came up with is that he was in a self-induced trance, slowing his heart to the point where his brain was no longer receiving enough blood, thus killing him.
Oh.
Now, I do think that like Robert either found this woman and just chose not to return to his body, or he got trapped somewhere for too long and couldn't get back, and his silver cord was either expired or was severed somehow. Now, in astral travel, and there was a social worker that was doing studies with it. I don't remember her name, but she came up with like these 4 zones in astral travel. Zone A being like being on Earth, just in a different existence, right?
Like in a different
dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. There's Zone B, which is like known to be other planes of existence and other dimensions and other worlds. Zone C I'm going to come back to, but Zone D is like the equivalent of outer space. Now, Zone C is known to be limbo, which is a place where you can get stuck and you can neither go forward or back. So there's that. Anyways.
Interesting.
Crazy story. That's Robert.
That is so crazy.
I know.
Wow.
Because wasn't there a story of a monk who was like 300 years old?
Mm-hmm. I don't remember his name, but yeah, I actually read that as I was studying this story.
Yeah, he was like 300 years old because he would put himself into meditative states and not have to eat or drink or...
Yeah, when they found Robert, his he still had food in his digestive system. Like it hadn't passed through, so...
So around 1912, the Maharishi of Kailash was said by missionary Sandhu Sundar Singh to be over 300-year-old Christian hermit in a Himalayan mountain cave with whom he spent some time in deep fellowship. What?
Crazy stuff, man.
So did this...
Just they're calling it longevity myths.
Here's my question, Alakai.
Okay.
Does this make you ever want to try it?
Absolutely. I've been attempting it for the last like month and a half.
What?
Yeah.
So explain how.
So so it's more like I've been told do it in the morning, not at night. So I've been doing it like during the daytime and trying not to do it at night, but I'll lay flat on my back on the ground. Because if I'm in bed, then I feel like I'll just get too comfortable. The idea is to kind of like put your mind in that in-between state between like being awake and being asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and kind of just maintaining that. And eventually at some point a lot of people have reported like feeling a tingling in their toes, and then that tingling moves up and you can feel it in the rest of your body, and that's when you separate. So I've just been kind of like taking time and like...
Shoot, maybe I did it this morning and I don't even know.
So like I kind of keep my hands... I just lay flat on my back. I keep my hands to my sides and I'm like touching my thumbs to my fingers, and I'm just kind of like... I'll spend time just kind of focusing on my breathing because my brain doesn't always have the ability to just turn itself off.
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking. So what I'll do is I'll just try to focus my mind solely on my breathing, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there are any other methods that you guys have out there, like please comment and let us know because I would love to try them. But
Interesting.
yeah, I kind of like it's almost like I'm trying to imagine my mind moving away from my body.
That's the meditation I did the other day.
Mm-hmm. You
You
think?
should look up Joe Dispenza.
So
Like, check it out. Seriously. I'm like...
But the idea is to like move and then try to move a little bit further away from your body every time, and then eventually you should separate and then be able to move freely wherever. So I would love to do it. I would love to try it. I want to be safe doing it, obviously, and it would be great
you don't
if
want to die.
It would be great if I had a guide that I could do it with. But yeah.
Interesting. I'll be honest. I find the idea fascinating, and I think it's really interesting and kind of a testament to, what life could be like after this life or where we were before this life. But I honestly have no desire to be on that plane just yet. Like I'm more, and it could be because I'm just so focused and so stressed out and like, worried about the things that are going on right now in the immediate and in the mortal realm that...
Well, maybe you wouldn't be if you did this though.
Yeah, but there's so many different things and goals that I'm trying to meet that I don't know if I want to separate myself from that and then be completely demotivated because there's something else that's...
There are people that have reported like having a whole entire life in the astral plane. Like even like having a spouse in the astral plane or having a family, a whole job or like a calling, whatever. It's crazy.
That I get it. And like as I've been meditating and stuff, they say like you can bring that into this existence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you can visualize yourself with a ton of money, and like that's how the law of attraction essentially works, is you meditate and visualize and experience it, like experience the emotion, you put yourself in that position. Like that's what I've been working on this last week and stuff, and it's kind of interesting because it relieves anxiety a lot.
Yeah.
And stress and stuff. And so I'm just like, I don't know. It's And I think that's kind of what like prayer is supposed to be, or like, you know, that's what we're kind of taught what prayer is supposed to be. I don't know. But they have done studies that like if enough people meditate with a single purpose and everything, they've done studies where like if they, it's called like the 100 monkey syndrome or the 100 monkey law or whatever, that if you can get 100 people together meditating towards one single cause, they can actually cause an actual shift that's measured by the Hadron Collider or whatever. Like there's tools that they use to do quantum physics, to measure like quantum physics and all that sort of stuff. And so I'm like, I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that like when you get farther and farther into these scientific things like quantum mechanics and stuff, like the things that are known in the universe start to make instead of it making more sense, it's actually making less sense to scientists the more and more they get into quantum mechanics, because everything just doesn't make sense. Like the whole thing of like, you know, there's a certain particle that can only be seen if you're not observing it.
No, yeah, that's yeah.
Like it's
that's
like
quantum
what?
physics. Yes. Like if you ever have you ever seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
No.
Watch that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good film, and it really gets you kind of thinking.
It's
like,
older, but
yeah,
it'll
get your noodle thinking.
Don't say that.
Oh, yeah, don't say that. So, no, but What the Bleep Do We Know? Like, and the thing is like...
Superhuman was also kind of interesting as well. That's the one that kind of goes over some individuals who believe that they can have impact on things not only near them, but from like long distances away. There's like different scientific things that they do where they have like a piece of paper or something like on a pin, and it's in a vacuumed environment, so like no atmosphere, no oxygen, no nothing in it, and like this person can move that object with just their intention, their thoughts. They do the experiment again, but miles and miles away, and they connect over like a Skype kind of thing, and this person is able to move that as well. Like it's just like it doesn't make absolutely any sense, but when you see these things, like, and it could just be, you know, anecdotal evidence of something that is, you know, not a part of this physical realm, that's more metaphysical, and it could be that it just, you know, coincidence that it's happened like exactly how they designed it to. But, you know, if it's happening the way that they're saying it's happening, it's like, ooh, this is some very interesting stuff. And it's like interesting that we're not doing more research on this stuff, and it's all about other things rather than, you know, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, look up Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, because they talk about this sort of stuff all the time.
Gotcha. How are we doing on time?
We're in final thoughts.
Okay. So with that, if you could astral project, where would you go?
In this existence?
Just anywhere.
College girls softball locker room. No, I'm just kidding.
How old are you? 14?
Jacob Gentry Rhyme Shussle.
Why did you use my full name on the podcast?
Oh, sorry.
Thanks. Not that it matters. I mean, I'm not using my Facebook anymore, so who cares? It was a joke.
I know.
That's fine.
But it's a joke that I can give you
yeah, you can give me shit about it, for sure. No, if I was legit gonna astral project, and I could move myself at the speed of thought, and I could travel to other galaxies and other, you know, planetary bodies around, you know, stars and like the Goldilocks area like we have in our solar system, I would go visit those places and see what life looks like and how they experience, mortality on their planet. Are they more humanoid? Are they not? Like, are they, are they carbon-based life forms? Like how, what's interesting, like the stuff that they've gone to on Mars and on the moon, it's all made up of carbons. Like it's all carbon-based, like dust and dirt and rocks. It's all made up of the same stuff that's on this planet. So it's like, I wonder if it's any different, like the farther we go out, or if it's just all the same. It's very similar. Maybe, they'll be like Vulcans. They'll have green blood and they'll have pointy ears, and they have, they suppress their feelings. I don't know, but that's where I'd astral project to. Like if I'm being serious. Not the locker room thing.
Definitely, yeah.
I think I'd astral project to as many dimensions as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how cool.
Yeah.
I think but man, I don't know. I also don't want to be stuck in some weird, scary place either.
Definitely.
Or maybe I would astral project to wherever God lives, if there is such a
Kolob?
thing. If I could hie to Kolob, as the Mormons would say, and I would just hover over there next to Jesus and be like, "Hey, JC, how's it going, buddy?" Be like, so you guys did all of this, you created all this stuff, huh? And just have a conversation with them.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
What about you?
There are 3 different places that I would want to go. They're all on Earth. So, the first place I would want to go to, like, the parts of the ocean that have not been discovered yet.
Oh no, that's scary crap, man.
I'd want to see if there is a lost city of Atlantis.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I know.
Or the megalodon sharks that are in the depths of the ocean that we think are
find the creatures that we haven't discovered yet. I would also want to go to, like, when the pyramids were made, or even before then. I feel like that would be interesting.
In time. Like, I didn't even think about in time. Like, I just thought, like, like if I was going to do it today, like, I didn't think about moving through time.
I would want to see, like, the construction of how the pyramids were made and, like, what that process looked like for them. So, and then my last place would be, I kind of want to see, I would go back to Jesus's time and see, like, find, like, the actual historical because the only like historic information that is for sure is his crucifixion.
As far as, like, where,
like, that's actually documented,
the Hill of Golgotha or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So I'd want to, like, find more information and just see, like,
would you want to see, like, observe if the miracles actually happened or if it was just a bunch of...
Watch him drop a couple of food coloring drops into water to make it wide.
No, remember
kidding,
last week when I talked about, like, Jesus was a cannabis advocate, I'd probably introduce to him how you can inhale it. Be like, look, this is
you don't
this
have
is
to
how
rub
it works.
that on your toes. You could actually roll it up in this little piece of paper and
be like, yo, you're gonna be liberated. Watch this.
Oh my god!
You see that pipe?
Dude.
Let me show you something. Yeah, but
very interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't know that I'm brave enough to go to other dimensions because I also wouldn't want to get stuck somewhere I shouldn't be.
And have the same fate as your...
accidentally slip into the upside down.
Robert, yeah. No, but, like...
accidentally slip into the upside down, Alakai? Bro, that would be terrifying.
Dude, there are people that have reported places like souls eating other souls and, like... yeah, I wouldn't want to do... I wouldn't... No. That's too scary for me. I don't think I could do that.
Or what if you slipped into the dimension where you could see, like... these apparent, like, demons and stuff from the other world.
Ooh, man.
If they're actual demons or if they're just, like,
aliens,
disembodied souls that have just turned corrupt and bad.
Yeah, that's another theory.
Like, what would that look like?
Oh, I feel like it look like the upside down, probably.
Yeah, demigods.
It would look like hell. Okay, it would look like hell.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Imagine if there like actually is a place where people are burning and.
So
like,
my mom actually reads a lot of like life after death books of people who've experienced like all this stuff.
they're wild stories.
Yeah, like really crazy.
I thought Visions of Glory was nuts.
But she said like it's interesting because they're actually doing studies and stuff like how that they can actually they've done studies and they can see a soul leave the body.
Whoa.
What do you mean
That's
by
wild.
Or
see?
they
Like
they
visually,
are
or
no
like they are they like watching brainwaves of it start and stop?
No, they've actually weighed a body, like a person dying. They're dying, right? So they put them on this scale. They've agreed to do this, obviously. And they've measured that there's an actual change of weight, even though it's like the slightest, like millionths of a gram or whatever. But they have documented that it actually leaves the body.
Wow.
Kind of like the poop and pee after they die. You just kind of. Sorry.
Well, there is that. there is
Way
that
to
too.
sully it, Jacob.
I'm sorry.
Way to sully it.
Well, you just said that there was a definite change in weight,
But
and I'm
they
like,
they have documented the soul
Sorry.
leaving the body
wow.
That's so
or
crazy.
consciousness
Do they
leaving
really?
the body. Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, Google that.
Google is your friend.
Did you find it?
Like, this is actually a scientific study.
I think so.
Konstantin Korotkov, scientist photographs the soul leaving the body, published August 31st, 2014. Timing of astral disembodiment in which the spirit leaves the body has been captured by Russian scientists who photographed a person at the moment of his death with a electrographic camera.
Wow.
Told you.
Wow. Okay.
Let's see these pictures.
Speaking of astral projection, right? Like,
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. Sure, agree. I don't care.
oh look, there's a Mike Lee ad.
No, that can't be real. The timing of astral disembodiment in which the soul leaves the body has been captured by Russian scientists who photographed a person in the moment of his death with a bioelectric camera.
That picture at the top looks like it.
That's
fake.
That looks
That's
completely
fake. Yeah,
doctored.
but it's just okay. Do it. There it is, right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Is this a video?
Oh, that music.
Photographing the soul?
Go back a little bit, Jacob. No, you
What do you mean go back a little bit?
you
Like,
were
what the-
scrolling and it showed the picture.
Where's the picture?
Never mind.
It can't be this first one. This is total Photoshop.
No, the video. When you were scrolling on the video, it showed the clip of it.
A clip of it. In this video?
Yes, when you were scrolling on the bottom. See, look at how it has that little thing. Go further to the right. 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 Back a little bit. Back. Maybe a little bit further.
I was going to say,
Right there.
this picture right here.
Whoa,
Spirit of my mother
Avatar
and
vibes
females
with this
are
music.
hugging us.
Oh, maybe not then.
Whoa, hold up.
This doesn't look like the soul leaving the body.
This looks like smoke and
This looks like a messed up picture from like the 1990s.
You're a messed up picture from the night.
what the excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Jacob was born in the 80s.
So where is this?
Never mind. I thought it was the clip, but it's probably not. But I actually saw the clip.
Had some Avatar vibes there going.
Yeah, that was some cool, like,
Anyways,
We got to find it now. Like, if this is the picture, like, I'm calling shenanigans.
there's no way that's the
There's
picture.
another. It's like the same dang thing.
Well, anyways,
Body.
Yeah, but I'm getting hungry.
I was gonna say that's all I really had for this episode.
It was
So.
it was a good episode.
Yeah,
Getting all
great
job.
deep and like.
Great job, Mr. Alakai. Those are some interesting topics today.
Thanks.
Definitely made us think for sure.
Hopefully anybody listening is also thinking critically about the things that we talked about. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And from our family to yours,
bye.
good night. Today's video is sponsored by viewers like you, so thank you. If we earned your subscription today, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button, click that damn bell, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a content release. The best way to support the channel is to like this video, share it with family and friends, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. Send all of your topic ideas, articles, and video links to theperiodicreview@gmail.com. All of our links are in the description down below.